Today's video is nothing more than me indulging in autumnal landscape photography. Autumn is peaking right now here in the UK, and although storms have blown through, stripping many of the leaves, there is still so much to photograph. So I'm starting off in a working quarry, or just outside of a working quarry, and I tell you what, from what I can see and the weather conditions, calm winds, nice changeable light, yeah, I think we could be in for a bit of a treat today.
At least that's what I thought, but as I walked through the woods and explored the landscape, it occurred to me that this year, autumn has been and gone quicker than I ever could have imagined. Now, this photo shoot began with lots of optimism, but I have to admit, I was struggling more than I thought I would, especially at this time of year. I mean, what exactly has happened to autumn?
So earlier when I said that the wind or the storms had stripped all of the trees of their leaves, I wasn't exaggerating. It is pretty bare. We're sort of mid-October now, so everything should still be full. Now the birch trees do tend to turn early and drop early, but they're really stripped bare. However, there's definitely a positive in that. And the positive is that the leaves that are still remaining, hanging onto the trees, well, they just make for wonderfully delicate compositions. That's exactly what we have here. I think when you can see the structure of the trees, and then the scene is just dappled with these leaves, these medallions that are just sparsely spread out, almost like falling rain, that kind of look. If all the leaves were still on the trees, you wouldn't see the structure and it would just be too much. Technically speaking, it's quite a simple shot to do. By far the most difficult part is finding the composition in the first place, finding the tree that sits in the right place, where there's no bright sky behind it, where there's a good distribution of leaves and no distractions or chaos. So that's the hardest bit. It's not the photography's easy. Focus on the tree, F8, done. One thing I am being careful with is the edges of my frame, because we've got trees, just trees forever. So you have to cut them off. You don't want half a tree coming in if possible. Now, by its very nature, woodland is chaotic, but trying to manage that chaos as best you can will help so much with the image. And just by watching your edges, that really helps manage all of the mess that's going on around. So that's it. This is a lovely shot. It's all shaded. We have a little bit of soft light, just you can see it on me now, just washing over the scene just to lift it. Background is in shadow. We're shooting downhill. Beyond the trees there's another big mountain, so we have no sky in the shot. And the lovely desaturated soft pastel colours and those distribution of leaves really give it a painterly look. That's it. Another image from today, and hopefully not the last. So I've come away from the quarry now to a different location, much more peaceful location. And we're just getting to that time now towards the end of the day where the light is filtering through the trees, just picking out different elements, different leaves, different branches, different trees. And I'm seeing lots of beautiful colour and glows in the woods, but oh man, it's difficult to make an image of it. So walking around, kind of feeling the pressure now. I'd love to capture this. I'd love to get one last kind of evening, late afternoon image. I mean, look, it's just glorious. Ah, man, it is just not happening for me today. I think the problem is that I'm looking for small scenes. I'm not looking for a bigger picture. The location where I am, this lake sits on the top of a hill. So the surrounding landscape, 360 degrees around this small lake is it's quite flat. There's no big mountains in the background. So the sky's really bright. All the shadows are really deep. So I'm looking for compositions that don't incorporate any sky at all, so I'm looking for small vignettes around this lake, ideally with the light hitting them. But I'm just really struggling to find, I think I'm being too fussy. Classic example of running around frantically trying to look for a composition, an image, when it seems that there's so much around you. And that's never a good headspace to be in when doing photography, especially the kind of intimate photography that requires sort of a delicate touch and precision and finesse. Well, the sun has set and I'm officially giving up. I am giving up on one of the best locations I've been to in ages with so much potential, and I have failed to get an image. Now I say I'm giving up, I'm only giving up for now, because I'm going to come back here tomorrow morning, different light, different circumstances. Hopefully I'll be a lot more calm. I was rushing around too much before, desperate to find an image. Never a good place to be. So yeah, I'm determining that tomorrow morning we will make at least one image here. We'll see. But for now, it's getting dark. It's time for me to leave. So tomorrow morning. So normally I'd be heading back to my van for the night, find a nice quiet park up. However, my van is currently having some work done on getting it wax oiled, having a service done and all of that. So no van camping, but wait until you see the vehicle that I've got, the courtesy car to replace my van. All it does is make me want to buy a new van. It's amazing. I'll show you that when we get down there. But whilst we're on the way back to the amazing van, let me thank the sponsor of this video, which is MPB. So MPB is a place where you can buy, sell and trade your used camera gear. I've used it myself, it's fantastic. I sold my Canon 5D Mark IV, I sold my Fuji GFX and some lenses to them. It's great, you put in what you want to sell, the condition it's in, and then they'll send you an offer. If you accept the offer, they'll send you a shipping label. Once it's shipped, you get the money in your bank account straight away. But they don't just buy gear, they also sell lots of used gear. And then if you want, you can also just trade gear as well. So it's nice and easy. So if you've got any gear to get rid of, or you're looking at upgrading your camera or getting something a bit different, then go to mpb.com. There's a link in the description below. If you can use that link, that'd be fantastic. And then they'll know that you've come there from this video, which helps me and supports the channel. Right, almost at the van. So this is a beautiful Mitsubishi Delica D5. Nice big off-road tires, bumper on the front, roof rack on the top. Oh, it's tempting, but I don't think it'll tempt me away from my Delica. Not yet anyway, maybe a couple more years.
Well, I returned the following morning, and just like the previous day, I struggled to make an image. In fact, I failed outright to make an image. Now, the previous day I put this down to pressure and chasing the light. But this morning there was no pressure at all. In fact, it was a perfectly pleasant walk around the lake. Now, going out with the camera and not getting an image is not unusual. In fact, it's quite common. But what strikes me about this location is beautiful, objectively beautiful. Walking around, it's a gorgeous place to be. And yet, I walked away empty-handed. So this is definitely one to come back to for a third time. Maybe it was a mistake to change locations and go from the quarry to the lake. Sometimes it can be so much more beneficial to just stick with one location. So I've come back to the quarry, kind of.
So yesterday, or earlier on in the video, I was by a working quarry. Well, that is about half a mile through the trees in that direction over there. I'm on the other side of the quarry. It's an old slate quarry, and this part is accessible, so it's not working anymore. And it's fantastic. You just have all of these beautiful trees growing out of these piles of slate. There's slate walls everywhere, and it's a real, chaotic mess of trees and quarries. It's fantastic. So we leave the birch-covered disused quarry, and we are now in what looks like an ancient oak woodland. Flippin' heck, man. What a delight. You've got to love the variety of the Lake District. It's absolutely fantastic. It is getting dark though, although it doesn't look it on this camera. It's definitely getting dark. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are in the last throes of daylight, and I've decided to tackle something quite complex. And I'm not sure if it's going to work, but as I was walking back to the van, I thought, you know what? Let's have a go at this and see what people think. So please let me know in your comments about this image, because I'm not sure. It definitely feels worth exploring. So here's my camera. And what I saw initially was this wonderful silver birch here. Very, very characterful birch tree. And you've got this oak tree here in the background, this much darker tree, and together they're quite nice. Then I started looking at the composition as a whole. We have this fern in the bottom right corner, just in transition, so still quite green, but the tips are starting to become yellow. And then of course we have all of the slate in the foreground. Now, trying to compose this and balance this and manage it, I've been here for about 25 minutes. It's not been easy, but let me show you here what I've kind of come up with. Whether or not it's going to work, oh, I'm undecided. Okay, so we have gone for a square composition, a 1-to-1, with the two trees, the birch and the oak, pretty much dead center. And then we have the fern in the bottom right corner. And then we have a splash of color. There's this secondary yellow tree here, which there's nothing I can do about. Can't get rid of it. So I'm not sure if that adds to the composition. I'm not sure if it takes away from the composition, or I'm not sure if perhaps it doesn't really matter too much. But that to me feels quite pleasing. It feels like the best I can do with these subjects. Yeah, I don't know, kind of looks all right. It looks all right. I might be clutching at straws. Let me know. This is the one I'm probably most interested in at the minute in terms of, does it work? Does it not work? Not sure. I'd love to know in the comments. Believe it or not, it doesn't look like it on this camera, but it is getting dark. We're probably about 10 minutes away from sunset. So back to the van for sure this time. Unless, of course, I see something else. You never know, man, you never know.